Aaron, tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got into farming in the first place.
Well, I'm a fifth generation farmer. So our family's been farming in this area for over 150 years. And so I grew up on the farm. I grew up farming with my family. And so it really is a way of life for us and for our whole community.
Have you ever wondered what a 94% export collapse really looks like? Imagine this. You spend years building your farm, pouring your heart, your sweat, your entire life, into every crop, every field. And then, overnight, no buyers, no contracts, no hope. This is what Trump's trade war has left behind. They said, "Make America great again," but right now, it's not looking so great for our farmers. Your neighbor's hay, sitting in silos. Your friend's dairy products, rotting at the port. Your cousin's soybeans, sold for pennies, or not at all. And while politicians throw around numbers and headlines, real families are watching generations of work disappear. Families who trusted the system, who believed the promises, now stuck with debts they can't pay. People say, they voted for this, let them suffer. But let me ask you, does that solve anything? Because when America's farmers fall, the whole community suffers. Your town's truck drivers, your schools, your banks, everyone feels it. And if we don't fix this, if we let the 94% export collapse become permanent, what will be left of America's farm belt? But guess what? There's hope. If we understand how we got here, and what we can do about it, we can fight back. So stay tuned, hit that like button and subscribe, because this is more than just another headline. This is the battle for the heart and soul of America's farmers. Can you feel the shockwave? A 94% export collapse isn't just a statistic, it's a sledgehammer smashing the backbone of America's farm belt. Picture this. A farmer in Iowa opens his barn doors only to see stacks of unsold hay, worthless contracts, and a bank statement that screams red. That's not just numbers on a page. That's his family's future, his kids' college dreams, his wife's hope for a better life, gone. This isn't happening in some far-off place. This is right here, in the heartland that once fed the world. And yet, overnight, no buyers. No buyers means no income. No income means no way out. And you know what's worse? While we talk about politics and trade wars, these families are being blamed for voting wrong. They voted for this. Let them suffer. But is that really the solution? Punishing farmers while their communities fall apart? Because let's get this straight, this 94% export collapse didn't just happen by accident. It's the direct result of Trump's trade war, the same trade war that was supposed to protect American agriculture. Well, how's that working out now? From Washington to California, soybeans are rotting in silos, milk prices have crashed, and hay farmers are laying off workers. One friend in Washington laid off 25% of his crew, overnight, because China slapped a 125% tariff on U.S. farm goods. Can you imagine that? Building your entire business only to watch it collapse with a stroke of a pen and some trade deal? But it's not just numbers, it's people. It's kids missing out on college, families defaulting on loans, communities shutting down. That's the shockwave of the 94% export collapse. And it's tearing apart the very heart of America. So the question is, what do we do now? How do we fight back against a trade war that's left our farmers abandoned and broke? Stay tuned, because in the next part, we'll talk about the true cost of Trump's trade war, and why it's more than just dollars and cents. It's about the survival of America's farmers. Ever wondered how a trade war can wreck an entire way of life? Because this isn't just about economics. This is about the true cost of Trump's trade war, and it's more brutal than you can imagine. Before the tariffs hit, America's farmers fed the world. China bought over 90% of exported sorghum. Today, that link is broken, and that's not just one crop, it's soybeans, hay, dairy, and even beef, everything that makes up America's farm belt. Imagine working your entire life, planting, harvesting, hoping, only to watch your markets evaporate overnight. It's like building a house for decades, then watching a fire burn it to the ground while Washington says, "Don't worry, we'll rebuild later." Farmers were promised protection from cheap imports. They were told they'd be winning big. But what did they get? A 125% tariff slapped on their goods. Shipments stranded at sea. Container fees so high some farmers can't even afford to ship their crops. And let's talk about the bailouts. $32 billion in bailouts since the first term. But guess what? Those bailouts didn't rebuild the markets. They didn't fix the supply chains. They didn't bring the buyers back. One farmer said it best: a bailout check can't reopen a closed shipping route. While politicians throw around slogans like "America First," farmers are left holding the bag, and the anger? It's real. They voted for this, some people say. But is that the answer? Do we punish the very people who put food on our tables? Because make no mistake, this trade war has left farmers with broken contracts, broken promises, and broken dreams. And now, Brazil and Argentina are filling the void. China's turning south for its soybeans, its sorghum, its hay, leaving America's farmers in the dust. So ask yourself, is this the future we want for America's farm belt? Because in the next part, we'll dive deeper into the hidden impact on America's communities. The impact that reaches far beyond the farm gate. Think it's just farmers feeling the pain? Think again. Because the 94% export collapse and Trump's trade war are sending shockwaves through every corner of America's communities. When hay prices crash, when milk sits unsold at the port, it's not just one family hurting. It's the truck driver who loses his route. It's the dock worker whose hours get cut. It's the local school that loses tax funding because farms are going under. One comment summed it up perfectly: so much waste while people go hungry. That's the real tragedy, food rotting in silos while families struggle to put dinner on the table. A container of hay sitting at the port doesn't just represent lost income, it represents a chain reaction of pain. And let's not forget about small-town banks. When farmers can't pay back their loans, banks stop lending. When banks stop lending, small businesses close. And when businesses close, communities die. It's a domino effect that starts with Trump's trade war, and ends with entire towns fighting to survive. Think about that: one trade war, thousands of communities on the brink. Now imagine being the farmer who voted for promises of greatness, only to be left with silos full of grain and nowhere to sell it. Imagine the shame, the anger, the confusion, and then being told by some people, "You voted for this, so deal with it." But here's the thing: punishing farmers won't fix the broken system. If the 94% export collapse continues, everyone loses: families, schools, businesses, everyone. Because America's farmers aren't just producers, they're the backbone of every small town, every main street, every community. When they hurt, we all hurt. So the question is, how do we stop this domino effect before it's too late? Stay tuned, because in the next part, we'll talk about how to fix a 94% export collapse. And what it really takes to rebuild America's farm belt. So how do we fix a 94% export collapse? Because this is not just a problem for farmers. It's a problem for every American who depends on affordable food, stable communities, and a thriving economy. First, let's be real, there's no quick fix. But that doesn't mean there's no way out. Step 1. Stop relying on politicians who only show up at election time. We need trade policies that work for farmers, not against them. That means negotiating fair trade deals, agreements that lower tariffs and open up new markets. Right now, farmers are stuck paying the price for Trump's trade war. But with the right trade negotiations, we can rebuild that lost export business. Because 94% is not a number we can afford to accept. Next, let's talk about local solutions. Diversification is key. Planting different crops so farmers aren't at the mercy of one market. Think about how Brazil took 3 years to build new contracts with China. That's the kind of planning we need here. We can't just blame China or tariffs, we need to invest in our own communities. That means supporting farmer co-ops, direct-to-consumer models, and organic certifications. Imagine farmers selling directly to American families. Imagine cutting out the middlemen who profit while farmers struggle. And don't forget about mental health. because a 94% export collapse doesn't just destroy bank accounts, it destroys families. That's why community support, counseling, and farm aid programs matter now more than ever. But let's be honest, this is about more than just money. It's about dignity. It's about restoring the pride of America's farmers. And that is a fight worth having. So what comes next? Stay tuned, because in the next part, we're wrapping this up. We'll talk about what all this means for you, and how together, we can stand with America's farmers and rebuild the future. So let's take a step back. We've just uncovered the devastating story behind the 94% export collapse. We've seen how Trump's trade war promised greatness but left farmers, families, and entire communities struggling to survive. We talked about the heartbreak, generations of farmers watching their silos overflow with unsold crops, while their kids wonder if there's a future left in farming. We saw how a 125% tariff didn't just raise prices. It shut down the market and sent our biggest customers straight to Brazil and Argentina. We saw that this fight is not just about money, it's about dignity, pride, and the American dream itself. It's about the community, the truck drivers, the local schools, the small banks, everyone who depends on America's farm belt to survive. But we also saw hope. We saw that we're not powerless. That with the right trade deals, better support for local farmers, and a plan to diversify crops and markets, we can fight back. And that's where you come in. Because it's not just up to the politicians, it's up to every one of us to stand with America's farmers. Support local producers, demand fair trade policies, and share this story, so that no one forgets the true cost of Trump's trade war and the 94% export collapse. If this video made you think, if it opened your eyes to the struggles our farmers face every single day, then hit that like button, subscribe, and leave a comment. Because together, we can make sure America's farm belt doesn't just survive, it thrives. This is more than a story. This is our story, and it's time we stand up and write the next chapter, together.